Okay, this is the University of Cumbria Student Union's interpretation of student fees. Brief history lesson. Back with the old Labour government, Peter Mandelson thought it would be a really good idea for us to look at tuition fees. Everyone remembers the Lord Brown report. Pretty much said that universities can charge up to £9,000. This is the new system. So, in the old system, the government at the top here would give the money to HEFCE, Higher Education Funding Education Council. And HEFCE would say how the money goes down to the students. Okay, so it would go government, HEFCE, universities, students. And the student loans would collect the money. This is the new system, and it gets rather complicated. The government here gives all of its money to the student loan company. The student loan company then give all of its money to the university. Then students pay the money back to the student loan company. Sounds quite simple, but for this to actually work, it's got to go through quite a few things. Now everyone knows universities charge up to £9,000, but to be allowed to charge up to £9,000, it's got to go first, so it takes a little sidetrack through OFFA, which is the Offer of Fair Access. This means that universities have got to say what they're doing with the money if they charge over £6,000. So it's what they spend on widening participation, what they do to make sure that people can come to university. So what universities have to do is say to OFFA, this is what we're spending our money on, okay? And OFFA say, yes, that's fine, or no, it isn't. They then have to go to HEFCE and say, this is what we're doing. Because HEFCE now kind of feel a bit left out, because they used to look after all the money, but they don't anymore. So they're kind of feeling a bit sad. So to make sure that HEFCE have a purpose, they now also look down on universities and say, oh, you should be doing more this way, and then you should be doing more that way. So once universities have got the tick from OFFA and the tick from HEFCE, what they then do is say to the government, we would like this amount of money, okay? So the system should all work, and then it gets more complicated. Back when the government charged its fees, it said you can charge up to £9,000, but we'd rather you not charge £9,000, we'd rather you charge £6,000. And of course, what did all the universities do? They all charged £9,000. Slightly awkward there. So, the plot thickens. What the government then did is say, oh, we can't actually afford all this money. So what they did to the universities, all the unis has 7% of their student numbers, 7 to 8% of their student numbers taken off them. Yeah, it gets better. So these 7% of numbers floats around in this sort of pot, and it's called the core and margin pot. So what they then do is for universities to try and get this fee down, the government said if you charge your average fee less than £8,500, you can bid for some of these students. The universities thought, oh, what do I do now? So, back to the drawing board, they go back to OFFA and back to HEFCE and say, right, we're going to do all these things, going to give students monies, hot dogs, burgers, printers, cats, light bulbs, all these sort of things to make it make sense, so that the fee then goes down to this much. So, the universities do all these bits and pieces back to HEFCE, back to OFFA, so they have this fee so they can charge it. So that's all well and good. So universities have their fee. It goes down, these two bodies check that it's alright, goes to the student loan company gives the monies to the universities, and the students give their monies back to student loans. All sounds good. So you have your tuition fee, and that is £8,500 or £9,000 whatever. That goes straight from the government to student loans to university. You'll never see it, never, unless you pay for it yourself. You then what's called your maintenance loan, and that of course is what you pay for your accommodation, your house, your sambuca. and that goes from the government to student loan, and then that goes actually into the student's pocket. Nice and easy, simple for them, the student then pays that back. Now, of course, that's all well and good, but what for the students from lower income backgrounds? Instead of things like aim higher, the universities were now kind of put in charge of what extra support can go to the universities. There's this thing called NSP, and there's a whole range of other bursaries in here, all sorts of other bits and pieces, little charities, this is a big sort of nest of things over in this corner, and students, if they want to, can go through that. But this is where the government controls NSP, but it's not in charge of administrating it. The university is in charge of NSP in terms of giving out the numbers. So if there's 160 scholarships through NSP, the university has to match that scholarship. Now you say, what is actually in that scholarship? And what they've done is they've given each student around £6,000 of scholarship. Now, for some reason, the government thinks actually putting money in students' pockets is a bad idea. So what they do is they give you a bit of money, and then they say to the universities, do some stuff with that money. And you think, what sort of stuff does that mean? And if you can, give them a free house, or a free burger, or a free printer, that's great. But they're not, it's called services kind. So you've got this massive, great, confusing bubble here, with the student at this end, and that at that end. And this is what the University of Cumbria Students' Union think is how the fees work. Any questions?